is we're gonna see if the curse is real. To explain real fast, in just about every tournament Zombie and I have cast, whether it's a WCS style group stage, whether it's DreamHack Open, whatever the case may be, whenever we have a rematch the second time around, the loser tends to be the one who wins and gets out of the group. So we'll see if this will be the case. If not, we will see Hart advance with his teammate Impact to the semifinals. For now, though, spawning on the leftmost side of Catalina, it's going to be the teal Terran player, Gumiho.
In the upper rightish position as the red Terran, it's Axiom's Hart.
Man, I just want to, again, kind of, like, it sucks that he lost 2-0. Because Hart played both those games incredibly well, I felt. And there's this one really scary moment I remember, like, there was a pocket of Banleys that went into the heart of the Marines, but the focus fire was so intense, like, he didn't take any damage from it. So it kind of sucks that we're going to this completely different dynamic. You know, it's not like he's warmed up for this series in the slightest, but he did beat Gumiho the first time around, so we know he's got it in him.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't, I don't want to call it a stomp, but it was a little easy looking.
Well, I think one of the big things, though, was Gumiho did decide to do, in that first game, you know, remember the double Rax Reaper.
Right.
It's a risky build, and it did kind of just give away a game with the way it ended up playing out. But it was one of those builds that could have won the game easily, too. So it was a risk, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that actually, like, the build itself did, I think, enough damage to warrant 3 Reapers, maybe not the 5 that he ended up getting, but either way, it was, like, really that follow-up beating in the middle that, you know. So what I'm trying to say is, like, it was actually, like, decisions. It wasn't so much like a build or a loss in both games. It was decisions, but we'll see if Hart has the same luck. Because, like, also in the second game, it was, like, Gumiho going mech, and it seemed like he had a good grasp on what mech needs, which is like a lot of tanks, right?
Well, it was such a scrappy first series. I mean, we really didn't have like a macro marine tank versus marine tank. It's hard to say.
Yeah, we didn't.
This, that, the other. But I would love if we got it this time around. Definitely one of my favorite styles to watch play out. But both players are opening with a Reaper. Yeah.
So hopefully no one panics and actually thinks it's a double Rax Reaper. Oh my god, get the bunkers down.
You know, Gumiho's had a long time to sit and wait, and I think one of the biggest things about that is either you get bored and maybe your head's not in the game, or alternatively you've been preparing, maybe going over your own replays or just waiting to see what the rematch would bring. Because there was no guarantee whether he was fighting against Hart or Impact was the really scary thing, of course. But now he's fighting against Hart. Gumiho may have actually devised some sort of strategy in that downtime.
Maybe. Well, the Reaper gets up here and finds you the Reaper. Hey, look at that. It did get a... If he had clicked on it, he would have seen that was a starport. It was pretty fast, though. I don't know if he would have clicked on it.
Well, the second Reaper follows suit, and with the Hellion here, Hart wins this fight, but not if he gets caught off guard, not if the Reaper slipped by to that SV line or something silly.
Yeah. It would be kind of silly. And, you know, right now, the second Reaper's not that useful. I didn't even get, again, maybe not that great of scouting. It really depends if he clicked on that building or not. But it's not a hard guess to make to, you know, Banshees. It's like TVT.
Yeah, there's really only 2 openers to this outside of Cheese. You either open with that straight Banshee, or you play the defensive style, or you're going for the 1-1-1. Command center is coming up really like this. Not uncommon, but still, as far as the actual build goes, it's pretty easy to guess what Hart was doing.
Yeah. And it's really not that hard to react to it and still be okay, you know? It's not like when you go for a Raven and Viking, it's like, well, now these are useless. Like, no, I don't want these. Like, throw them away. It's actually very useful.
I would love to see, like, you set the Raven and the Viking on a table, and you just flip the table. It's garbage units. But no, that's never the case. That is kind of one of the unique things I like, though, because, I mean, a lot of other matchups, units start falling off. Blink Stalkers in PvP becomes absolutely horrible as time goes on. But, yeah, in Terran versus Terran, I think units are still good the whole way through, and that's probably why I like this matchup so much. That wall, though, is going to work really nicely. I love the Hart it went for. Neither player built this, like, anti-Hellion wall the first time they played.
That's nice. That's a little annoying. Sees that it is a Banshee, like, confirms, rather, that what he saw was Starport, there's Banshees. He got an engineering base. He's going to have turrets. What's great about Banshees, though, is that it doesn't require... Huh, that's interesting. You cancel Tech Lab? Anyways. Maybe this is right? Okay, whatever. Is that the Banshees can still find ways to do damage. It's actually Hart opening up with the Raven after that.
So this is going to cloak, try and run away. Yeah, Hart going with the Raven is interesting. Not like this will be an effect if you get double Secret Missile tanks. You can always point defense drone Marauders. Auto charts are never really bad in any scenario, but I think most importantly, it does give him free detection should Gumi have gone for his own Ravens.
Yeah. And if Hart does like that double tank push that did kill Gumiho last time, it won't be the same. Like he had 3-4 Banshees over the course of that game that just added so much damage. You know, with only one Banshee, you can try because Stim's not gonna be done, so you're not really at risk of like getting stimmed upon losing all your tanks. But he's probably just gonna get like, you know, pushed back, no problem. What is a little interesting is like who's gonna win the Viking war, because I mean sometimes we have people go for like the one Viking as usual. And sometimes we have people fighting for like that 5 Viking dominance, you know, like usually 5 is like that number, and sometimes they go for 7, and that person, you know, obviously wins. But they're both trying.
Well, at the moment we got the production for Hart finally kicking up. He's trying to take this expansion, of course, but with the Widowmine and the tank where it is, even these Hellions aren't going to run by this. So there's no real danger for Hart to do this. Transferring the SCVs over. I mean, all in all, he's a little bit behind, especially with that worker count, but I still wouldn't write him out of this game just yet.
No.
Especially Gumiho is going mech yet again.
Yeah, double armory. That was a little greedy.
Man, TVT mech has changed so much over the last, like, even just year of StarCraft 2, really. Mech was definitely a thing that I think a lot of teams were playing with for some time, but what I do like about it for Gumiho is he's refined to a point where he can play this really efficiently. The same way Hart would throw away Marauders, we see Gumiho throw away tanks. I mean, it's a very unique style, but of course, the biggest, scariest thing that come down a little bit later are those Hellbats inside the medevacs.
No, here's a problem. Like, the Vikings were very important. Actually, I think Gumiho realized that. Okay. So not that big of a problem anymore. But Hart did have the lead, and he also had a Raven. So that was going to be a big deal if he was able to get air control and use that Banshee to its full effect.
But here comes the Hellions from behind. Hart was not expecting this. SCV's on top of the auto turret. Anti-repairing. That tank, though, still standing, is not going to be enough to stop this push. It looks like... Yeah, this was the demolish. I mean, even with the SCVs on the front line, 21 of them went down. The Banshee's going to try and pick off this tank. It is going to fall. Nothing left for Gumiho to fight with. More tanks are on the way. He might just barely have the production for it, but he's lost so much SCV power while this was going on. I mean, 32 workers, then 33, 34. Good game. Hart's going to take game number 1. Woo!
That was such a good call. You know, like, you make that call in your own game and you die, and you're like, ah.
I know, it's really hard. Like, you get sandwiched. Yeah. Well, the other thing is the Hellions are shooting the tanks, not the Marines. I think that was a big problem. Had they connected to the Marines instead, maybe that goes a different way. But that's a hard... You got to run through the tanks, up that ramp, and connect to the Marines. A lot easier said than done. But, yeah, so game number 1 is going to go Hart. Map number 2 is going to be King Sejong Station. I'll leave that to you, madam, as I have to go play another Eizo